Okay, so now we've got all of our basic detail done. This bat's pretty well finished up, so all we need to do now is paint it up. So the first thing we're going to do is paint this whole thing just a base black. And I'm using a latex exterior paint here to help with the weather seal. Once the bat's completely finished painted black like this, the next step that I do is to dry brush the entire thing in a white paint. The paint I'm using here is nothing special. It's just, I believe it's even just an interior latex paint, white paint that I bought years ago and still haven't used the whole thing up. So anyway, once we got this whole thing painted black, next we're going to give it a good dry brushing of white paint. And we're going to dry brush the entire bat, top, bottom, face, every piece of it in this step is going to get a good dry brush of white. Now that our dry brush is complete and dry, what I chose to do in the next step was to give this a coat of gray to kind of tone down the white. So what I used was a medium gray acrylic paint. Now I took this paint and watered it down, made it very thin. So this isn't just the thick paint straight out of the bottle. It's mixing with some water to water it down. That way when it dries up, it's more translucent and you can still see the dry brush through it. Now when we paint this, I painted the entire back side of the bat with this gray paint. However, on the underneath side, the only thing that I painted gray was the head, the belly, the extensions of the arms, the little fingers that come down into the wings, the legs, and the tail. But the wings themselves, I didn't paint gray. After that all dried up, the next thing I did was take a skin tone acrylic paint and painted all the inside of the bat's wings. I wanted the wings to have a more of a flesh texture, a different look, a different color to it than the rest of the bat so that it would set the wings off. So in this step, when I painted it, there was no water dilution to this. This is just the straight acrylic paint painted straight over everything we had. Alright, so we got our flesh done, we've got a gray tone to it. It's got a pretty decent look, but I wanted to give some more detail into it. So at this point, we went and put a little pink in the inside of the ears so they would stand out a little bit, and then painted on kind of a mouth line so that there would be some separation up there so you would see a mouth. Not a big bunch of detail, but it does get the point across. Now that we got all that done, it just still looked a little too bland to me. So what I wanted to do and what I was experimenting with was painting on hair. So all I did was took some white paint and a very small brush, and I just kind of painted these straight little lines and dabs here and there all over the body. I only painted the body, the face and the body and the arms. I did not paint any hair on the wings, on the back side of the wings or on the front side of the wings. So I painted the entire body, arms, and legs with this kind of hair idea. After that, the next step I wanted to do was, it was a little too bright, a little too colorful, so what we did was we took and really watered down some black acrylic paint. It's very, very watered down. And what it did is kind of like a black wash or a black stain. Paint on the watered down black all over the bat. Top, bottom, every single piece of it. Once you get the black on there, you let it set for a little bit and then take a rag and wipe the excess off, just like if you were staining wood. It's the same process and the same purpose. And then once the entire bat is completely covered in a black wash and that is completely dried, the next step we want to do is to seal this. The sealer that I got here is a urethane style sealer, but it has a tint to it for wood to make the wood look new again. This sealer works good on my pumpkin projects and other things, but you got to be careful with it because the stain does change the color. However, I like the way it changes the color on a few things, like on the flesh tones that you can see on the wings here. It toned those down and gave them a dirtier look, which I enjoy. I think it looks a lot better. Anyway, the last step in painting here is just to completely seal off the entire bat from top to bottom. So here's the bat all finished up. Done. I didn't show you how I put the fishing line in here, but I'll just kind of talk about it. I was in a hurry to get this thing out for Halloween. Anyway, he's all done up. I think it looks pretty good. Overall, I was happy with it. The painted on hair did get the point across as far as, you know, adding a little extra depth and detail to it, so it didn't just look like it was all one color. Yeah, it's kind of shiny due to the sealer. If you wanted this not to be so shiny, once you sealed it down, you could take and put a matte, a clear matte spray paint finish over the top of it to dull it down. I wasn't overly concerned with it. Like I said, this was hanging up in a tree above the walkway, and it just gave off a great illusion of a bat from the bottom. It's pretty impressive, especially at night. Then all I did to hang this, just poked a little hole right through the cloth right here, took some fishing line, wrapped it around, tied it off, pulled that line all the way across to this other side, did the same thing here, poked a hole in it, tied it off, and then added another piece I just wrapped around the bottom here, strung it all up together where it met at a point so that it would hold the bat in a flying position, and it was able to hang. So here it is, finished up. Hopefully this is another tutorial that you guys have enjoyed and learned something from. Anyway, till next time, keep making something from nothing.